My name is Brian Yount, B-R-I-A-N-Y-O-U-N-T. My ghost story started in the house that's next door to this video store. The paranormal activity started when we would hear footsteps going up and down the hallway. My daughters heard it and my wife heard it. I would feel scared going down the hallway because it just felt heavier. The air felt different. After hearing the footsteps, a number of times, I decided we were going to investigate the house. The first thing I did was leave cameras on by themselves when we would leave someplace. And there was a number of times where the dog would do nothing, no sounds at all. But there was one time where it sounded like something was attacking the dog. She just went totally nuts. And it wasn't something she would normally do. And I did it a number of times after that, and she never did act the way she did in that one video. The weird thing is, I have video of her on top of a dresser. There's no way my little chihuahua could get on that dresser by herself. Then I decided I was going to call my cousin JB. He's a skeptic, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to invite him over here, and we're going to investigate this house. And if he believes that something's here, then definitely something is, because he didn't believe in anything. But he did say how he felt like at one time he went down the hall and he was out of breath. And that happened to me a couple of different times. It's just, I don't know, the air just seemed heavier in the hallway. There's one thing that scared me bad. I was getting ready for work one morning, brushing my teeth. The cat was in the restroom with me. The door wasn't closed all the way, and the cat was laying on the inside of the door at the bottom. All of a sudden, something kicks it hard, and so hard that the cat bounced off the door and hit my leg and scratched me. I wasn't really scared at the time because I thought maybe my wife was playing a trick on me, which she never does, but when something like that happens, you want to think that something else besides a ghost did it. So I opened up the door real fast and I looked down the hall, and my wife wasn't even up yet. The kids, of course, were still asleep. So then I start to get scared because I know that it wasn't them. There was a really freaky thing that happened. I was there on the last day before I moved out. I still had my computer there and the phone was still hooked up. That was it, basically. There were some other odds and ends things there, but other than that, nothing. I was on the internet and the phone rang, and I decided I wasn't going to answer it. The answer machine picked it up, and you can hear what sounds like an older woman, and she's saying, "Brian, I need help." And it's really clear, but it's also staticky at the same time, like she's having trouble getting through, but it's clear as day. You can hear her say, "Brian, I need help." I mean, that really bothered me because I felt like, that was the last day in that house, and it was like she was telling me that your job isn't done. You've been trying to communicate with us, and you haven't figured it out. Why are you leaving for? I have no idea why the spirits were doing what they were doing. I can't find records of anything bad happening in the house. But I know for a fact that something was trying to get my attention. Here's one of the creepier things that happened in the situation that really bothered me the most. I was out one night. My daughter, she was 6 at the time, and she was home with my wife. My wife was cold and she asked for a blanket, so my daughter goes down the hall to get it. She comes back without the blanket. My wife asks, "Where's the blanket?" And Sarah says, "I'm not getting the blanket because there was voices back there and they were saying Daddy's name." And Sarah had never made up stories like that before, not even close. The thing that freaked me out the most is when I started to use a ghost box in the house. I didn't believe in the ghost box at all before I started using it. I decided to order one just to see for myself if it worked. And because of the activity that was going on in the house, I thought maybe it was a good place to try it. Well, after a couple of times, my wife wouldn't even let me use it in the house anymore. And we would hear voices coming over saying my name and my wife's name. It would go, "Brian, Beth, Brian, Beth." I heard a girl say "Dad," and a voice replied back, "Heather." The really bizarre things that were said are things like this: "We need darkness. Are we really dead?" And then you hear a reply back, "I don't know." There's people that will say that you're just hearing voices on the radio, because what the ghost box is banning radio stations, and supposedly the spirits can talk through that white noise. Now, at first that's what I thought, when I first heard people posting up stuff, and I was like, okay, that's what it is. But we asked specific questions like, "What's your favorite food?" And we'd get cookie. And then we'd say, "What's your favorite drink?" And a reply came back, "Dr. Thunder Generic." Dr. Thunder Generic is the cheap version of Dr. Pepper, and that's sort of like Walmart or whatever. But that's not going to come over the radio. There's no advertisement for Dr. Thunder Generic. And then Goldschlager, which is an alcoholic drink, also came through, which never comes over the radio. The video store next door was owned by my parents. I decided we'd investigate the video store to see if maybe it had something to do with the land. My wife came with us to the video store one night, and we heard a noise in the restroom, and she asked if there was someone on the potty. Well, we didn't hear anything at the time, but when we got home, this little kid says, "Mommy's picking flowers." Okay, I was doing my interview, and JB had to stop. He said that he's feeling really sick and hot. He's getting really hot all of a sudden. It's not even really hot in the video store. It's kind of weird that it started happening when I started talking to him, you know, about the video store and about the kid, you know, saying Mommy's picking flowers.
No, I'm sweating. It's really bad too, and I'm hot. Feels sick.
I've had lots of reaction with the devices in this video store. Almost all the time it happens at 11:30. I don't know if that's residual, but whatever it is, it happens at 11:30. There have been times where I've been very uncomfortable in this video store. A really weird thing, when we had the ghost box on one time, this guy in a deep voice said, "Ellen." Now Ellen is my stepmom, and she used to run the video store, so we thought that was like excellent evidence because, you know, maybe he remembers her being here. At times it sounds like people are running up in the attic. At first I thought that noise was an animal, so I run a camera up there to see, you know, what the attic looked like, and it's all insulation. There's no way anything can make a noise running across it. I had my dog here, and she went to a location and she started scratching at this certain location. It's a cement floor. I forgot to mention, over at my other house, I took the little dog over there, and I actually asked for her to be lifted up. And in the video that I did, you can see her being lifted up from behind, and you can actually see her turn around because she knows something's messing with her. Do I believe that the ghosts are still there at the house? No. Because we did a number of investigations there afterwards, and we did get evidence a couple times after, you know, everything was moved out. But one time my cousin Bobby wanted to see what was going on over there, and I explained to him about the restroom door being kicked. You know, so I think we got a couple things that night, but I can't remember exactly what happened. But he left, and he lives at my dad's, which is down the alley, which of course isn't too far from the video store. And he called me up and he said, "Brian, you're not going to believe what happened." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I was upstairs at Dad's house using the restroom, and the door was completely closed, and the doorknob turned, and the door opened up." We investigated times after that, and that's when we never got anything anymore after. I don't know if it followed him to my dad's or what. We still continue to investigate the video store, and we do get stuff there here quite often. I do believe there's a boy here, but I also believe there's a darker force here that holds the boy back. I think the boy is the one that communicates with the devices, because it'll happen for like 5 minutes and then nothing. So we'll have the devices out and it'll be like 11:30 and they'll start going crazy and doing what we want them to do, but after 5 minutes it's done. But at times you can sense this darker spirit in this video store. I don't know who he is or what it is, or if it is even a he. I just feel like there's something darker that's holding the boy back. It's just a sad thing, because you want to help this kid and figure out what happened, but you can't because something's not allowing him to communicate all the way. Well, before I moved into the house, I didn't believe in ghosts, but that's the first place where things started to happen that was unexplained to me. And after investigating, I do believe that there are ghosts that we can't see. And it's so odd, though, to live in a place where things like that happen, because you wonder if they're watching you, because at times you do feel like that. You feel like somebody is sitting there watching everything you do, yet you can't see them. You don't know where they're at in the house, and isn't that kind of creepy? Because you don't know what they're doing. You don't know if they're watching you from a corner, or you think about it when you lay down before you go to sleep. If there's somebody in the room sitting there watching you, and what's going to happen if you go to sleep, you just don't know. It's just a weird thing. I have over probably 20 videos of the house and the video store, maybe more. But after going over all that evidence, I believe something happened to a woman. I think she was pregnant, and that the guy didn't like what was going on, and he did something. I can't prove that, but I did get an EVP of a woman saying, "I want the baby," and a man saying, "I don't want the baby." And that to me makes me believe that that's what happened in the house. At the video store, I'm not real sure. I just know there's a kid here. I really truly believe that there's a lost boy here, and I don't know why. It has affected me because it's opened my mind. I didn't believe in much, but when you start experiencing stuff like that, your mind starts to open up and you believe in a lot more than what you didn't.